What if everything you thought you knew about intimacy after 60 is actually holding you back? What if the secret to rekindling passion and protecting your health isn't more pills, more chance? It's something you've never been taught. Let me tell you about Frank. He's 78, widowed 2 years ago, and convinced that spontaneous romance was the key to proving he still had it. One evening, he surprised his new companion without warning, and his body surprised him. His heart raced, his breathing labored, and his confidence shattered in an instant. He left that night feeling more alone than ever, haunted by the thought that his best years were behind him. I'm Dr. James, urologist and men's health specialist, and I've spent over 3 decades helping thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond reclaim the confidence and connection they thought was lost forever. What most guys don't realize is that aging doesn't have to mean stepping aside. It means learning a new playbook. Today, I'm going to reveal 5 powerful secrets that older men wish they'd known long before they paid the price in embarrassment, lost relationships, or, in some tragic cases, their health. These aren't quick fixes or hype-driven gimmicks. They're the real, science-backed strategies that transform frustration into fulfillment and could literally save your life. By the end of this video, you'll understand why spontaneity can be your enemy, how an erection can be your heart's most honest signal, and why emotional closeness matters more than ever. You'll learn how unseen habits are rewiring your brain and the one timing mistake that has cost men everything, all before your 70th birthday. If you've ever felt the sting of a failed moment behind closed doors, if you've wondered whether you still matter in the bedroom or at risk every time you try, type "ready" in the comments now. Let me know you're here, and get ready to discover the wisdom that most men only learn too late. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear could change everything. I'm Dr. James. You've heard a bit about Frank's night of unexpected defeat. For over 30 years, I've served as a urologist and men's health specialist, guiding more than 5,000 men through the challenges of aging bodies and relationships. I've seen husbands, widowers, retirees, and new partners all wrestling with the same questions. Am I broken? And is this it for me? Here's the truth. You're not broken, and you're certainly not alone. Your body has simply changed, and it deserves respect, knowledge, and a fresh approach. I've helped men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s rebuild confidence, restore intimacy, and reclaim joy, without risky pills or empty promises. Before we dive into Secret 1, I want you to feel confident that you're in the right place. I share real stories, backed by decades of clinical experience and hard-earned data. No fluff, no gimmicks, just practical wisdom you can use tonight, tomorrow, and every day after. If you're ready to see why spontaneity may be sabotaging you and what to do instead, stay here. The most important secret is coming up next. Secret 1. You can't rely on spontaneity anymore. And that's not a weakness. It's wisdom. Here's the reality most men refuse to face. After 60, your body changes in ways you can't ignore. Those surprise moments of passion that once sent your pulse racing now leave you scrambling, mentally and physically. Clinging to spontaneity isn't a badge of honor anymore. It's a setup for disappointment. Think back to Frank's story. One evening, he decided to prove he still had it. No warning, no preparation. He thought his instincts would carry him, like they always had. Instead, his heart pounded so hard it felt like a drum in his chest. His breathing grew shallow. The confidence he'd built over decades evaporated in seconds. When it was over, he felt less like a man and more like a stranger in his own body. You've been conditioned to believe real passion should catch you off guard. When you were younger, maybe it did. Your desire matched your ability. You could handle the adrenaline surge with no warm-up. Those late-night encounters felt effortless because your circulation, hormones, and energy reserves were firing on all cylinders. But as we age, our cardiovascular system doesn't respond the way it once did. Blood takes longer to flow, our muscles need more time to warm up, and stress hormones spike more easily. Spontaneity can trigger anxiety. What if it fails? What if your body doesn't cooperate? That fear alone can shut everything down before it even starts. Yet, so many men keep chasing that old feeling, believing any other approach is somehow less authentic. They skip the prep. No warm bath, no light activity, no pacing, and end up with a performance failure that feels like a gut punch. The shame of a single misstep can drive a man out of the bedroom for weeks, months, even years. Frank called me after that night. His voice was hollow. He said, "Doc, I thought if I kept up the element of surprise, I'd feel young again. Instead, I felt broken." That sense of failure crushed his spirit. He withdrew from his companion, canceling meetings and avoiding invitations. What began as an attempt at romance turned into 3 long months of isolation. But here's what you need to hear. Losing spontaneity isn't losing intimacy. It's an invitation to deeper connection. Planning doesn't kill the spark. It safeguards it. Intention signals to your body that this moment matters. It calms the mind, relaxes the muscles, and primes your circulation. It gives you control over variables you can't predict in a sudden moment. When you stop expecting your body to rise to a surprise challenge, you free yourself from the weight of, "Did I measure up?" Instead, you can focus on pleasure, yours and your partner's. You can take the time to create an environment that soothes stress, uplifts mood, and builds anticipation. That anticipation becomes part of the experience, a slow burn that ignites something far more powerful than raw adrenaline. I've seen men in their 70s report the best nights of intimacy they've ever had, because they allowed themselves to prepare. They communicated with their partners. They set the mood. They respected their body's new rhythms. What felt clinical at first became an act of care, both for themselves and for the person they love. Remember, intention beats instinct when instinct no longer serves you. Spontaneity was your playbook at 30. At 60 and beyond, wisdom must take the lead. In the next section, we'll explore how the state of your erections can reveal secrets about your heart health, secrets that, if ignored, could cost you far more than pride. Stay with me. Secret 2. Your erection is more than performance. It's your heart's loudest alarm. Most guys chalk up erectile changes to just age, but here's the truth. Few doctors emphasize your ability to get and maintain an erection is one of the most sensitive indicators of cardiovascular health. When blood flow falters down there, it's often already compromised elsewhere. Let me introduce you to Roger. At 65, he noticed subtle shifts. His erections weren't as firm, and it took longer to get there. He shrugged it off, blaming stress and a busy schedule. Then one morning during a routine checkup, his doctor ran an EKG and found blockages he never suspected. 3 weeks later, he was in surgery for a 70% blockage in his right coronary artery, what doctors call a near-miss heart attack. Here's why this happens. The arteries supplying the penis are smaller in diameter than those feeding the heart or brain. Plaque buildup or narrowing shows up sooner in those tiny vessels. So a warning sign in the bedroom can save your life in the living room, or the boardroom for that matter. Too many men treat erectile dysfunction as a purely sexual issue, an inconvenience or punchline. They buy over-the-counter enhancement pills or bury the problem in shame, hoping it'll go away. But every failed attempt is a siren. Low blood flow, leaking valves, or high blood pressure that needs your attention. I once saw a patient, David, 72, who dismissed his morning stiffness and slower response as normal. Within months, he suffered a mild stroke at home. His family told me he always joked, "Doc, if my plumbing's low there, I assume it's low everywhere." But plumbing matters, and it's interconnected. Ignoring these signals can lead to heart attacks, strokes, and sudden cardiac events. But here's the empowering part. Catching a blood flow issue early means you can reverse or manage it. Lifestyle tweaks, medical interventions, or simple dietary changes that restore circulation and protect your heart. Imagine feeling confident again, knowing that an intimate moment won't just be safe, but a testament to how well you're caring for your body. When you approach intimacy with awareness, you transform your bedroom into a checkpoint for your overall health. I remember when Roger called me after his surgery. He said, "Doc, if I'd waited for chest pain or a full-blown heart scare, it might have been too late. My nocturnal performance problem saved my life." He went on a heart-healthy program, balanced diet, gentle exercise, medical monitoring, and regained both vitality and peace of mind. So don't let embarrassment keep you silent. If you notice changes, less firmness, longer latency, or difficulty sustaining, you're holding critical data about your heart. Those aren't just bedroom issues, they're life issues. In the next section, we'll dive into why emotional intimacy is more than romance. It's a form of emotional medicine that heals stress, depression, and even cognitive decline. You'll see how reconnecting on a deeper level releases chemicals that protect your mind, body, and heart. Stay tuned, because the secret you're about to learn could be the most surprising form of health therapy you've never tried. Secret 3. Emotional intimacy is your most potent medicine. Here's something almost no one tells you. Sex isn't just physical, it's emotional medicine. After 60, your body still craves connection, and the chemicals released during genuine closeness can heal stress, boost immunity, and even sharpen your mind. Think of those rare moments when a partner's touch made you feel truly seen, when a single caress could melt away your worries. That feeling isn't nostalgia, it's biology. Oxytocin floods your bloodstream, lowering cortisol and dialing down anxiety. Dopamine surges reward your brain for bonding. Serotonin steadies your mood and helps you sleep. Yet so many men cut themselves off from this power source. Let me tell you about Martin, 74. Widowed 5 years earlier, he convinced himself that intimacy belonged only to the past. He avoided touch, thinking affection would reopen old wounds. Over time, he stopped hugging friends, declined invitations, and retreated into his house. Physically, Martin complained of chronic fatigue and restless sleep. Emotionally, he wrestled with a creeping emptiness. His blood pressure climbed despite medication. He told me, "I thought grief was my only problem, but I feel like I've been dying in slow motion." What Martin didn't realize is that denying emotional closeness had starved his body of critical healing chemicals. Without oxytocin's calming embrace, his cortisol stayed elevated, fueling inflammation and blood pressure spikes. Without dopamine's reward loop, motivation drained away. Without serotonin's balance, anxiety and insomnia took root. Worse, chronic isolation accelerates cognitive decline. Studies show that lonely seniors experience memory loss at twice the rate of those with active social lives. Loneliness literally rewires your brain toward fear and withdrawal. And yet, emotional intimacy can be astonishingly simple. It starts with small acts. Holding hands during a walk, sharing a laugh over coffee, or allowing yourself to listen, really listen, when someone speaks. In my clinic, I've seen men rebuild their health by rediscovering that human touch. One patient, Harold, no relation to our first case, began inviting his neighbor over for weekly board games and a quiet embrace at the end. Within weeks, his sleep improved, his morning headaches vanished, and his doctor lowered his blood pressure meds. He told me, "I didn't know I was starving for connection until I tasted it again." You don't need a partner to unlock this healing. Self-touch, gentle massage of the arms or neck, releases oxytocin too. A heartfelt conversation with a friend, even over the phone, triggers dopamine surges. Volunteer work, group classes, or shared hobbies create serotonin lifts that protect your heart and brain. The stakes are high when you ignore this secret. Without emotional intimacy, depression tightens its grip. Immune function weakens, leaving you vulnerable to illness. Sleep disorders deepen, and stress-related hormones surge, undermining everything from digestion to cognitive sharpness. But the good news is that rekindling connection can be transformational. In clinical trials, seniors who engaged in daily affectionate touch showed a 30% reduction in inflammatory markers within a month. Their mood scores climbed, and many reported renewed interest in life itself. If you felt the hollow ache of isolation or wondered why your health seems stalled despite every medical intervention, consider this. Your medicine chest may be empty of oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin. Emotional intimacy refills that chest faster than any pill. In just a moment, we'll uncover the next hidden trap, how habits many men turn to for relief are actually rewiring your brain against real intimacy. But before we move on, remember, true healing isn't a solo act. It's built on human connection, one heartfelt gesture at a time. Secret 4. Porn and unrealistic fantasies are rewiring your brain. You might think a private escape to adult content is harmless, especially when loneliness or frustration sets in. But here's the hidden cost. Pornography trains your brain to crave artificial stimulation, rewiring neural pathways so real-life intimacy starts to feel dull by comparison. In your youth, quick dopamine hits from new experiences fueled curiosity. But as we age, dopamine receptors become less sensitive. When you turn to high-novelty porn, your brain chases ever stronger stimuli to trigger that same rush. Real touch, real emotion, real pacing can't compete. Meet Walter, 71, a retired Navy officer. He told me he and his wife drifted apart years ago, but he never admitted how much he'd turned to online videos. What began as an occasional habit grew into a daily ritual. Soon, physical closeness with his wife felt boring, he confessed. He couldn't climax without a screen, and his desire vanished in her presence. That detachment isn't about attraction, it's about conditioning. Repeated exposure to rapid cuts, impossible bodies, high-def sound cues your nervous system that arousal means instant gratification, novelty, perfection. When real life arrives with its very human imperfections, slower rhythms, softer sounds, genuine emotions, your brain literally forgets how to respond. The consequences are both physical and emotional. Physically, you may notice delayed orgasm, reduced sensitivity, or even inability to perform without visual stimuli. Emotionally, guilt and shame pile up beneath the surface. You begin to believe something is wrong with you, fueling isolation, a vicious cycle. I remember a patient, George, 76, who described a growing emptiness after each session. He said, "I'd feel hollow afterward, like I'd drank salt water to quench my thirst." His isolation deepened, his mood sank, and his doctor raised alerts about his high blood pressure and chronic stress. Neuroscience confirms what I see in my practice. Prolonged porn use desensitizes the brain's reward system. Dopamine surges no longer register, so you escalate consumption, seeking more extreme content to feel anything. Meanwhile, serotonin and oxytocin responses from real touch atrophy, leaving you numb to the healing power of a partner's embrace. Worse, when you bring that conditioned mindset into the bedroom, you risk two powerful losses: the ability to experience genuine pleasure and the emotional bond that sustains long-term health. Without that bond, stress hormones spike, inflammation rises, and sleep suffers, undermining heart, brain, and immune function. Walter eventually confided in me that he felt trapped, that he was punishing himself yet powerless to stop. He described porn as both his refuge and his prison. His body forgot how to react to his wife's touch, and his heart sank under the weight of secrecy. The irony is cruel. You seek relief in isolation, only to find yourself more isolated than ever. The very tool meant to fill a void instead deepens it, eroding confidence and connection. And unlike other habits, this one hides in plain sight. Private, convenient, and socially normalized. As we move into Secret 5, keep in mind how hidden habits can do more damage than overt risks. In the final secret, we'll explore the most dangerous mistake older men make when they try to prove they're still young. One misstep that can cost everything in a single moment. Secret 5. The fatal timing. Mistake of proving you're still young. There's a moment that sneaks up on many men in their later years, a moment of pride, of invincibility, when you think, I still got it. Maybe it follows a clean bill of health at your annual checkup. Maybe it's sparked by a compliment from an old friend or a spark of chemistry with someone new. In that instant, your ego eclipses your caution and you decide to prove you're still the man you once were. But here's the harsh truth. That's exactly the moment when you're most at risk. A planned, paced session is one thing. An impulsive, pride-fueled encounter is another. The physiological stress of sex, elevated heart rate, surging blood pressure, rapid breathing, is a workout for your cardiovascular system. When you push too hard, too fast, without respect for your body's new limits, you gamble with life itself. Let me tell you about Leonard, 74. Charming, active, dating a woman 10 years his junior. After a glowing checkup, he felt unstoppable. He skipped his usual walk, dismissed his blood pressure meds just for tonight, and went all in. No warm-up, no pacing, no thought for tomorrow. Midway through that ecstatic burst, his heart hit its limit. His date found him unresponsive, a cardiac arrest that no amount of CPR could reverse. He died doing what he loved, or so the headline read, but the reality was a preventable tragedy born of misplaced pride. You don't need to be on the brink of 80 to make this mistake. I've seen men in their 60s, after a victory lap at the gym, dive into intimacy without a second thought and end up in the ER. What feels like a celebration can quickly become a crisis. The body's signals aren't whispers at that point. They're screaming warnings you've chosen to ignore. Chest tightness, lightheadedness, irregular heartbeat. These are not background noise. They're flashing lights, and when you override them with sheer will, you're betting everything on hope instead of wisdom. Yet, so many men equate slowing down with defeat. They believe that moderating intensity or planning timing somehow diminishes their masculinity. The truth is the opposite. Pacing yourself is the ultimate act of strength. It's saying, I respect my body. I respect my partner. I want more than one night. I want the years ahead. Consider this. Safe pacing doesn't eradicate passion, it refines it. A brief warm-up walk, a glass of water, taking your medication on schedule. These are acts of care, not weakness. When you honor your body's needs, you prolong your ability to enjoy intimacy for decades, rather than risking it all in a single reckless moment. I've walked countless widows through this aftermath, women who lost their partners unexpectedly, left to grapple with grief and what-ifs. The regret cuts deep. If only he'd slowed down. If only he'd heeded the signs. That regret never fades. Leonard's case could have had a different ending. A brief conversation with his doctor about pacing, a quick check of his vitals mid-session, a promise to prioritize safety over bravado. Those small steps might have spared him and his loved ones endless heartache. Remember, the most dangerous time to have sex isn't when you feel vulnerable. It's when you feel invincible. Pride blinds you to risk. Humility keeps you alive. Now that you know the 5 secrets, how spontaneity can betray you, how erections signal your heart, how emotional touch heals, how hidden habits rewire your brain, and how pride-fueled timing can be deadly, you hold the keys to transform every intimate moment into a source of connection, health, and longevity. Stay with me for the conclusion, where we'll tie these truths together into one guiding principle. By now, you've uncovered 5 truths that most men only learn too late. And the cost of that delay can be heartbreak, isolation, even danger. Let's take a moment to tie them together. Secret 1. Spontaneity. After 60 often backfires. Planning isn't a concession to aging. It's an act of respect that safeguards both pleasure and health. Secret 2. Your erections are more than a performance metric. They're an early warning system for your cardiovascular health. Ignoring them risks far more than embarrassment. Secret 3. True intimacy isn't just physical. Emotional closeness releases healing chemicals, oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, that fight stress, boost immunity, and sharpen your mind. Secret 4. Pornography rewires your brain for instant gratification, dulling real-life passion and eroding confidence. Breaking that habit restores your ability to experience genuine connection. Secret 5. The deadliest mistake isn't weakness, it's pride. Proving you're still young with an impulsive, high-risk encounter can cost you everything. Pacing yourself is the ultimate strength. These aren't isolated tips. They form a unified principle: presence over performance. When you replace instinct with intention, ego with empathy, and bravado with humility, you transform every intimate moment into an act of care for your body, your heart, and your partner. Imagine approaching intimacy not as a test to pass, but as a shared journey you prepare for together. Picture moments of anticipation instead of anxiety. Visualize the peace that comes from knowing you're honoring your body's needs while deepening emotional bonds. Aging isn't a sentence, it's an invitation to evolve. You're not stepping off the field, you're learning a new game with different rules. And mastering those rules gives you the power to extend your health span, enrich your relationships, and live with confidence far beyond what you thought possible. So here's your takeaway. Embrace intention. Schedule your moments. Listen to your body's signals. Nurture emotional connection. Break free from habits that isolate you, and never let pride override wisdom. If you apply these 5 secrets, you won't just reclaim the intimacy you once had. You'll discover a deeper, safer, and more fulfilling kind of closeness that many men only dream of. Stay curious, stay humble, and remember, the best years of your intimate life may still lie ahead. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 secrets hit home? Drop the number in the comments, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and let me know where you'll start making a change. If you found value in these insights, make sure you're subscribed and tap the bell icon so you never miss our deep dives into senior health and wellness. I release new research-backed videos every week designed to empower men like you to thrive, body, heart, and soul. Ready for more? Check out our playlist on heart health signals and how they show up in everyday life. You'll learn simple self-checks and lifestyle tips that amplify what we covered here in Secret 2, because a healthy heart is your foundation for every intimate moment. And don't miss next week's video. The top 3 foods that supercharge circulation and boost intimacy after 60. We'll explore delicious, science-proven foods that enhance blood flow and energy, so you can pair your new playbook with a plate of life-giving nutrition. Finally, remember this: every choice you make, planning that special night, listening to your body's signals, reaching out for emotional connection, matters. It's the small, consistent steps that create lasting change. Thank you for watching, for engaging, and for choosing presence over performance. Here's to your next chapter, full of connection, confidence, and vitality. I'll see you in the next video.